Politihoot! And now, from a lonely little corner of the Bronx.
So Trump gave a speech to the United Nations, September 23rd, 2025. The most powerful room on earth, filled with world leaders, diplomats, translators, people with PhDs in international relations, and then Trump shows up. It was less of a speech and more watching the brain of a once powerful man descend into a vat of Jell-O pudding. Act 1, Escalatorgate. Now, Trump walks into the United Nations with Melania, hand in hand, looking like royalty about to ascend into heaven, only for the escalator to die right underneath them. Now, Melania is wearing 5-inch stilettos because nothing says I'm prepared for global diplomacy like balancing on 2 pencils designed by Jimmy Choo. Seriously, stilettos are not footwear. They're weapons. If she tripped, she wouldn't have just fallen. She'd stake the ambassador of Norway right through the heart on the way down. And Trump? He blamed the United Nations for it, called it sabotage.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood.
As if Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, was in the back room, rubbing his hands like a Bond villain and saying, yes, we will stop him with escalator technology from 1972. And then he brags, if the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. Sir, she's in great shape because she's fighting to deal with you every day. It's Pilates, yoga, and emotional suppression all rolled into one core workout. Act 2, Telepromptergate. Then comes the teleprompter fiasco.
And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working.
Trump opens his speech with, I don't mind making the speech without a teleprompter because the teleprompter is not working. That's like a pilot saying, folks, I don't mind landing this plane without the landing gear because, well, the landing gear is not working. The audience in the UN froze. They didn't know if it was a joke or a threat. I half expected the teleprompter to file for asylum. And then Trump threatened the teleprompter operator. Literally, he said, whoever is operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
That whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
What's he gonna do? Send the teleprompter to Guantanamo? Put it in solitary? Force it to watch reruns of his rallies over and over and over until it boots up again? And look, this matters because Trump without a teleprompter is like a toddler with finger paints. Sure, something comes out, but it's incoherent, messy, and usually ends up on the walls. Act 3, climate change.
The best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail.
Trump called climate change the greatest con job ever perpetuated on the world. His words. Now, here's what NASA, the National Aeronautics Space Administration, reported. 2025 saw record global heat, sea levels rising, glaciers melting at unprecedented rates. That's not a con job. That's physics. But Trump, he hears that and says, nah, it's just Al Gore sweating. So let's be honest. For Trump to call something a con job is like Bernie Madoff calling you untrustworthy. And if anyone knows anything about con jobs, it's the man whose casinos went bankrupt. Twice. Climate change doesn't even have slot machines, Donny boy. You can't rig it. Act 4, Brazil and Lula.
Your countries are going to hell.
Brazil's president, Luiz Ignacio Lula da Silva, criticized Trump for bombing Venezuelan boats. And Trump fires back. Brazil is doing poorly and will continue to do poorly. That's not foreign policy. That's mean girls. On Wednesdays, we bomb Latin America, and you can't sit with us. Meanwhile, Brazil has the Amazon, biodiversity, carnival, and some of the hottest-looking people around. Trump has an escalator that doesn't work and puffy ankles. So who's doing so poorly? Act 5, the 7 unendable wars. Trump bragged, "In 7 months, I ended 7 unendable wars."
Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable.
Really? Which ones? The war on drugs? No, because the CDC estimates 87,000 drug overdose deaths in the 12-month period up till September 2024. The war on terror. Still got terrorism, foreign and domestic. The war on Christmas? Buddy, Starbucks still sells holiday cups. You ended nothing. And according to PolitiFact, September 24th, ending 7 wars was in fact not true. Now, his administration was involved in deals in Southeast Asia, Middle East diplomacy, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Egypt, Ethiopia, but none resulted in the final peace treaties. At best, he participated in a few peace declarations and shaky ceasefires. It's not ending wars. That's like muting your mic, not having your camera on, and leaving the Zoom call early, but still taking credit for your group's hard work. It's like saying you ended the war because your neighbors turned down their stereo after you complained. Act 6, Russia, Ukraine casualties.
Anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 young soldiers, mostly soldiers, on both sides, every single week. From 5,000 to 7,000 dead young people.
Trump claimed 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers die each week in Ukraine. But according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies in August 25, actual deaths average closer to 1,800 per week. It's still tragic, but a far cry from his numbers. He probably pulled the numbers from the same place he gets his crowd sizes: thin air and disillusion. Trump makes up casualty figures the way a teenage boy makes up how many girls he stooked at summer camp. Act 7, Iran's obliterated nuclear sites. Trump bragged the U.S. had totally obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities hours after bombing Iran. The New York Times on August 20th reported, "Too early to tell the real damage." Translation: check back in 20 years to see if Iran glows in the dark. He declares victory before the war even starts. If Trump played Monopoly, he'd scream, "I win," after getting out of jail free. Act 8, Venezuelan drug boats. Trump claimed, "We've destroyed Venezuelan terrorists and trafficking networks." PolitiFact on September 25 said, U.S. forces sank 3 boats, killed 17. But Venezuela is a minor player in U.S. drug trafficking. So basically, he bragged about beating the JV squad while the varsity cartels in Colombia kept winning the championship. Act 9, Immigration. Trump said, "Millions pouring in from prisons and mental institutions." The PolitiFact rating on that one? Pants on fire. There's zero evidence. This isn't immigration policy. It's the plot of Night of the Living Dead. Then he said, Biden lost 30,000 children.
The previous administration also lost nearly 300,000 children. Think of that. They lost more than 300,000 children, little children, who were trafficked into the United States on the Biden watch.
Fact check. DHS Inspector General August 24 found 32,000 unaccompanied minors missed court dates over 5 years, including during Trump's own first term. They weren't lost. They just didn't want to show up to court. That's preschooler truancy, not human trafficking. Act 10, the economy. Trump said, "We reversed economic calamity." The Bureau of Labor Statistics in August 25 said unemployment rose 4 to 4.3%. Job growth slowed. Grocery prices were up 2.7% year after year. Then he brags, "We secured $17 trillion in new investment." But according to experts in PolitiFact, May 2025, those were just announcements, promises with no guarantees. That's like me saying, "I secured $50 million because I put wind Powerball on my vision board." Act 11, renewable energy. Trump said, China builds windmills, but with very few wind farms. The International Energy Agency, 2025, said that China holds 44% of global wind capacity, more than anyone, almost triple the U.S. So either Trump can't read, or he thinks wind farm means a ranch where wind gets milked by cowboys. Meanwhile, electricity prices in the U.S., the Bureau of Labor Statistics, August 25, said electricity costs were up 4.9% since Trump took office. Gas prices are basically flat. So no, John, your bills aren't lower unless you stop paying them, like you do your contractors. Act 12, London and Sharia law. Finally, Trump claimed London wants to go Sharia law. According to the New York Times, September 25, that's pure nonsense pushed by conspiracy group. London still runs on British law. Sharia councils exist in small community contexts, mainly divorce arbitration, but they don't replace UK law. So no, Don, London is not Saudi Arabia. It's still pubs, rains, and Arsenal losing. The finale, all the gates. So let's review. Escalator stops, teleprompter dies, fake wars ended, fake casualty numbers, fake trillion-dollar deals, fake energy stats, and stilettos sharp enough to qualify as NATO weaponry. This was not a presidential address. This was a Netflix comedy special, as if Rodney Dangerfield got the nuclear codes. So let's be clear. The real heroes of the day, Melania's stilettos. Those things save her from a faceplant that would have gone viral forever. Honestly, if anyone deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, it's Jimmy Choo.
Politihoot!